Tuesday is the third week of Lent, and we love to hear about the love of God. But remember, it's the mercy and severity of God, and we need to stay on track with Jesus. And today's gospel is evidence of that. Now, Peter comes up to Jesus. This is in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 21 to 35. Peter goes up to Jesus and he said, Lord, how often should I forgive my brother if he wrongs me? As often as 7 times? Jesus answered, not 7, but 70 times 7. Right, so here we have this setting of to forgive. And then Jesus goes on and shares this parable. And so the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who decides to settle his accounts with his servants. So he's balancing his books, basically. So he brings his servants together, and we've got this man who owes the king 10,000 talents. Now that's a lot of money, but he had no means of paying, so it means that he's going to be sold as a slave. He's going to lose his wife, his children, and all going to be sold into slavery. And that speaks of the slavery of sin that we all are bound to if we're outside of Christ, of course. And so this servant throws himself at the master's feet and says, have mercy on me and give me time and I'll pay the whole sum. But the king felt sorry for him, and he forgives him the debt. He writes off the debt. And so this servant is now free of this terrible bondage of 10,000 talents, which will cause him to be sold into slavery. He'll lose everything. But he goes and finds a fellow servant who owes him 100 denarii. Now, this is not just 1,000 times less. It's a denarii, not a talent. This is like a minuscule amount. And he says, you pay me what you owe me, otherwise I'm going to throw you into prison. He throws his fellow servant into prison, breaks fellowship with him, condemns him. But the fellow servants see this happening and they're really distressed. Remember, the king is acted out of compassion and mercy. This is the story today. It's compassion and mercy. And the one who's been forgiven shows no compassion, no mercy, no remorse. And so he's brought before the king and he says, what are you doing? Did I not have mercy and compassion on you? You have acted outrageously and not shown any mercy on your fellow servant. No argument, no, oh, but I'm sorry, give me another chance, nothing. He says, throw him to the tormentors until he has paid the last amount of money. And he gets thrown to the tormentors. And that really, so many people are tormented because they don't realize the enormity. We often do not, I do not realize, personalize it, the enormity of the debt that Jesus paid for my salvation, the enormity, the gravity of sin that we have offended against God, yet he forgives us freely in Christ. And so we need to forgive others, just as the Lord's Prayer says, forgive us our debts as we forgive those who are our debtors, or forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who have trespassed or crossed the line against us. This is today's message: forgiveness from the heart, born out of compassion. And that compassion comes from a realization, not of religious ritual, but of the depths of the mercy of God in rescuing you and me from the terrible torment and consequence of sin in our life.